like an absolute dildo, because in this one, what we're going to talk about is how to have a magnetic aura around women. It's what the kids are saying these days, dude. Like back in my day, it was about being confident, how to be confident around women. Now it's how can you have a magnetic aura? So that's what we're going to cover in this stream. I'm learning new terminology every week. Someone told me the other day what glazing meant. It's like, oh, Christian, I'm not trying to glaze too hard, dude, but your videos have changed my life. I'm like, the fuck does glazing mean? Like, I thought glazing was something you did to a fucking donut. But then I learned what it meant. I was like, that's actually funny. So yeah, aura. I think we'll begin with a passage from Socrates, who once said the beginning of wisdom is the definition of terms. So I think before we go balls deep into how you, young Padawan, can build a magnetic aura, I think it's quite useful to define what aura actually is. Because people talk about aura, they talk about confidence, they talk about your vibe, you know, you need to get your vibe right, bro, but these are quite abstract concepts. I think it's quite difficult sometimes to wrap your head around. Even if you know intellectually what it means, I think it's good to define these things. So I suppose aura, there's multiple definitions that we can cover, but I think one of them is it's almost like gravity, right? You can't see it, but it's almost this silent force that pulls people toward you. I also would define it as how compelling you feel in the moment. Because remember, when you're talking with women, it's not what you say and it's not how you say it. It's who you are when you say it, or who you perceive yourself to be when you say it. This is a game of identity. It's who you're becoming through this process. I also think having a magnetic aura, it's your ability to remove doubts, yeah? The removal of doubt. You know, like when you've done, say, 10 or 15 cold approaches in a day, and the way you started isn't the way you finish. And by the end of the session, you're riding on what I would call godly frequency, where there's no more hesitation. It's like the doubt has dissolved. And what's left is you. Yeah, and this is really my entire philosophy on dating. It's not the addition, it's the removal. Yeah, every guy has already got a six-pack. It's just buried under a layer of fat. You already have confidence, yeah? You already have everything you need to live a rock star dating life. It's just buried under years of conditioning, fear, compliance, sedation. So I think having a magnetic aura is the removal of doubt, where you're able to see women, you're able to see opportunities, where most guys see a beautiful woman walk past them and they feel stress, they feel doubt, they feel hesitation, which is completely normal at the start. If you've not done 100 daytime cold approaches yet, these are normal symptoms to feel, right? It's not it doesn't mean that you're abnormal. It doesn't mean you're broken. It's not, oh, I've got approach anxiety. No, you just lack practice, right? Approach anxiety does not exist. Anxiety is not an illness. It's an emotion, right? So having a magnetic aura for me is being able to remove doubt, feeling like yourself. I guess a good example is, you know when you've just got pissed, right? You know when you just started drinking more than you should, and every drink you have, it feels like there's like more weight which is being lifted off you, right? You're still the same person. You've still got the same body. You've still got the same bank balance. You're still the same person. You've not added anything. You've removed the doubt and the inhibitions and the nonsensical narratives that maybe if you're a overachieving guy, you might be spending a lot of time in your own head, stuck in that mental prison of self-chatter. And I think this is why a lot of overachieving guys, they gravitate towards substances, because I think it's their way, or a guaranteed way, of shutting out their thinking mind. But imagine if there was a way to feel drunk, sober. You know, imagine if there was a way to feel on top of the absolute fucking world, to have your confidence skyrocketed without needing a shot of Sambuca. Well, young Padawan, there is. It's called daytime cold approach. So yeah, what we're going to do in this stream is we're just going to talk about how to have a magnetic aura, and by the end of it, hopefully, I will have helped you to remove a lot of the doubt that you're currently feeling. But just remember, Information is not really going to do a lot for you. Information's a good starting point, but it's implementation that we need, right? It's like sniffing a condom wrapper, expecting to lose your virginity, right? The information is a good starting point. You've got the condom, you're prepared, well done. But now it's important to put that into practice in the real world. So the first thing that I would say is 7 days of semen retention, right? If you're somebody at the moment, like I was 5 years ago, where I was wanking myself off into a sock every night because I just hated the life that I built for myself, if you're just jacking yourself off every night to a screen, then it's going to dilute your desire to dominate the day. Right? You've got no incentive whatsoever to go out into the world and build a magnetic aura or build something of meaning if you're depleted of your life energy, right? It was put to me in this way once that it was like, Christian, your semen has the power to create a life, right? Like, that's how powerful this is. That is a life force that you've got inside of you. So if you're just spunking it out every day or twice a day, like, that's why you don't have this magnetic aura, because you're a fucking low-life loser operating at a low frequency. Because usually what would happen to me, once I'd wanked and once I ejaculated, yeah, of course, there's that momentary pleasure, but then what would follow would be shame, guilt, apathy, these very low-frequency emotions. So what I would say, very practical, for these next 7 days, let's just say, hands off the Johnson, right? Hands off the fucking Johnson. Because if you are lacking the motivation to get out there right now, especially during the winter in the UK and Europe, it's easy to stay inside of your man cave and feel sorry for yourself and wank off into some form of clothing. So I would just say 7 days, stay away from the Johnson, right? And also what's going to happen then is it will motivate you to get out into the real world. Like, I'm not a super hardcore semen retention dude, right? Oh, I've got like a fucking 319-day streak. I think after a while it starts to get slightly unhealthy and also semi-retarded as well. But I think 7 days is a good amount of time. I don't know at what point testosterone levels peak. Is it after 7 days? I remember listening to an Andrew Huberman podcast a long time ago. I'm sure he said after 7 days, there's not actually that much of a testosterone spike. I mean, I guess you could argue the longer you've been retaining, the more trust and faith you have in yourself to not succumb to your animalistic emotion. Because I think this is what some people, we don't always realize this. You know when people say, oh, it's you versus you, bro, you're against yourself. I used to think this for a long time, but now I realize it's you versus your animalistic self, yeah? And willpower is a finite currency. Have you ever noticed the deeper you get in a day, let's say you've done lots of work, maybe you've trained at the gym, you've been busy throughout the day. I find for myself, the later it gets in the day, the more my willpower starts to diminish and the more my animalistic impulses start to control me. Like just wanting like cheap dopamine or quick fixes. Do you get what I'm saying? So I think it's important to recognize it's not you versus you. It's you, your higher self, versus your animalistic impulses. And as nice and as cozy and as comfortable as it might feel to watch one of my live streams, get motivated, and then 6 hours later be wanking off to some AI-generated porn, you know who you are, you dirty bastard. I would say just go for 7 days. I think it will help you. It helped me anyway. That's how I overcame my porn addiction and my erectile dysfunction. It was just having these 7-day sprints where if I'd made that pact to myself that I'm not going to wank for these 7 days, it made me more motivated to get out into the real world. And after about 3 or 4 days, I started to feel more energized. I started to crave more of that feminine connection. Because I think the deeper I've explored my own psyche, it's not necessarily the climax or the orgasm that I'm always chasing. I think oftentimes, because so many men are lonely today, I think this is why masturbation feels unsatisfying, because you get the physical sensation, but you feel psychologically depleted. Because I think there's a part of us, maybe it's the soul, maybe it's a higher self, maybe it's your fucking heart chakra, whatever it is. I think there is that part of us which craves the emotional electricity, like the emotional connection, yeah? Because the difference between wanking off into a sock by yourself and making love with a beautiful woman that you've got a strong emotional connection with, like physically, they both lead to the same result, which is you climaxing. But I think it's the psychological pleasure, it's the psychological knowingness, especially if you've met a girl through daytime cold approach. When you've unlocked this superpower of being able to just create something out of nothing, and when you copulate with this beautiful woman, I think there's psychological pleasure to be derived from that, because it's like you didn't take the easy route. Do you know what I mean? It's like you didn't go to the fucking local knocking shop. You didn't go and settle for some mediocre match on Hinge. You didn't, I don't know, shag Susie through your social circle. I don't know why I use Susie so much. If you're watching these videos and your name's Susie, I am sorry of using you as an analogy, but it's the first name that comes to my mind. I guess I could use Sandra or Svetlana. But yeah, it was, I spoke about this on the live stream yesterday, but one of our youngest entourage members, 22 years old, he lost his virginity recently with a girl that he met through daytime cold approach in London. And I think that's an incredible way of having your first experience. Do you know what I mean? It's like he's gone out, he's learned daytime cold approach, he's been hitting the streets, he's been connected with the rest of our entourage members, and he's created that experience out of nothing. And I think in a psychological way as well, because his first sexual experience came with a girl who he cold approached, it's almost like, how can I describe that? I think it almost psychologically ingrains into his mind that the way for him to meet women is cold approach. Do you know what I mean? Because I always remember, I told this story on one of our entourage group coaching calls. There was this kid that I went to college with, sixth form, went to sixth form together, and ever since I knew this kid, all he was talking about was going to Amsterdam and losing his virginity. And it became this thing where that's all he would talk about, is like, oh yeah, can't wait to go to Amsterdam, 18th birthday, lose my virginity. And eventually he did it. But I'm like, for me, it just feels like he kind of just taken the easy way out. And I think it almost wires your brain into thinking that if I want sex, I have to pay for it. But now with our entourage guy, he's learnt this the hard way. And I don't know, I think that's a great place to be at 22 years old, where he's had his first experience from daytime cold approach in London during the winter season. So I think that's cool. So the first thing I'd say to develop a magnetic aura is just stay away from the Johnson for the next 7 days. Yeah, just see, all right, next 7 days, no wanking, get out, talk to women, aim to approach at least 20 women this week, and just see how that feels. Because I found it as well, the more you approach, for me, the more I approach, the more I want to approach. I find that, I guess this quote goes on to point number 2. By the way, if you're enjoying this live stream at the moment, drop it a like. It's just me talking to myself a lot of times. I've got no fucking idea who I'm speaking with, but if you drop it a like, it indicates that there are real humans on here. Thanks. So I've always found for me, when I approach, and I'm talking about an actual cold approach session here, I'm not talking about being one of these morons who's just going out there and does one approach a week and calls that progress. Like, you know who you are, you lazy bastard. No, what I'm talking about is proper cold approach session where you aim to do at least 10 approaches. Because remember, the first 3 approaches that I do, they're usually shit. They're just batting practice. They don't count. Right? But the mistake a lot of guys make is they leave too early. So the analogy that I use is, imagine you wanted to train shoulders at the gym. Imagine you wanted to grow bolder shoulders. Imagine you went to the gym, did 1 set of dumbbell side lateral raises of 5 kg, and then left, went home, put your feet up thinking, yeah, I trained hard today. It's like, dude, you did 1 warm-up set and called that progress. So I found that the more you approach and the more consistent you are, I think is it Parkinson's law? You know that law which says work expands to fill the time allocated to it. So if you give yourself a year to do 100 approaches, it'll take you a year. But if you gave yourself 3 days, it would take you 3 days. This is what we do with our guys in the entourage, my private one-on-one coaching clients, is we just collapse the time it takes to do these 100 approaches. So the way that it works is, guy applies to work with me, and then whatever city he's located in, I then send my head coach Daniel, I plant Daniel into the guy's home city, and then Daniel pushes the guy through 100 approaches, or over 100 approaches, in 3 days. Like, imagine, dude, imagine getting pushed in to 100 daytime cold approaches in 3 days. Imagine how that would make you feel. There's no hesitation, there's no approach anxiety. It's like, motherfucker, you paid your money, Daniel's on the flight, he's there with you. You are gonna take so much relentless action, that action will become your default. And then what happens is Daniel films all of our clients' approaches. It doesn't go onto YouTube without our client's permission. Most of our guys prefer to remain anonymous. The footage is for private coaching feedback. So then Daniel gives the client the footage so he can watch himself back in real time. And then the footage gets sent over to me for even deeper analysis. This is how we turn decades into days. Because when you're doing lots and lots of approaches back to back to back, what's going to happen is you're going to develop what I would call an action taker aura, yeah? Because if you're taking the next year of your life, you're one of those guys who still thinks it's 2008. Oh, I'm gonna be a solo cold approacher. Yeah, I'm gonna commit to solo cold approach this year. Yeah, gonna be a puritanical day gamer. It's like, dude, those days are fucking gone, right? Being this lone wolf solo player, parading around the pavements on his own for 8 hours, talking to like 3 women. It's not a good look anymore, dude. So if you give yourself a year, it will take a year. But if you give yourself 3 days, it'll take 3 days. And the more you approach, and remember, if you're also not wanking yourself off as well, this is why what I suggest to guys is have an immersion week. If for whatever reason, maybe you can't afford coaching right now, or you don't resonate with me as an individual, whatever the reason may be, then what I would suggest for you is just have a week off work, 7 days, and aim to do 15 cold approaches for 7 days. Yeah, so 15 approaches every single day. By the end of the 7 days, you've done 105 direct approaches. You've also done it in a condensed time period as well, which will make the integration phase a lot easier, because you go from immersion to integration. Yeah, so you immerse yourself in the skill, and then you integrate it into your lifestyle so it starts to feel as natural as drinking water. This is what we do for our clients. It's 3 days, one-on-one, in-person coaching, delivered in your home city. Everything's captured on camera. I give you my feedback. Daniel gives you his feedback in real time. You also essentially get 30 plus coaching experiences because you become a member of the entourage. And everybody in the entourage is my private network for entrepreneurs, artists, visionaries, creatives, overachieving guys. Everybody in the entourage has gone through the exact same process. So you don't just get me, you don't just get Daniel, you don't just get the footage so you can see yourself back in real time. You get coaching from all the other guys who've walked the same path. And that's why we get the best client results in the industry, because you become part of an environment where overachieving and relentless action is the fucking standard. And also, I think, when you are around other guys who get it, like-minded guys who also have developed a magnetic aura around women, proximity does equal power. It's the whole show me your friends, I'll show you your future. I remember at the start of this year, we had an in-person entourage meetup in Barcelona. And when all of our guys got together in person, it was just fucking dangerous, right? Because all of our guys, they have become elites at daytime cold approach, but everybody started out as shit, right? Everybody started out as a proverbial white belt. But when you're surrounded by guys who cold approach to an elite level, guys who are further ahead than you, guys who can push you and hold you accountable, when you can watch other guys in a cold approach conversation, it's like, whoa, that guy there, like the way he's approaching the ZFG or zero fucks given mindset. Oh wow, he's just approached a group of girls on a busy street, or another guy has just approached that girl who sat down, and fuck, that's completely shattered my belief of what I can do. It's like you surround yourself with winners and you win. I remember when I went to Rio in Brazil at the start of 2022. It was interesting because I noticed the guys in Rio, they had all of the skills associated with daytime cold approach, but they knew nothing about daytime cold approach. So I guess you would consider these guys naturals, like guys who are just naturally good around women. And I found this so useful because I was able to soak this up through osmosis. Like these guys naturally had a magnetic aura around women, right? They didn't have any doubt, there was no hesitation. They're almost, a lot of them, what I found with these more natural guys is a lot of them, they're almost too stupid to think, right? I think that if you're a guy like traditionally the guys that I work with, you're probably a very analytical, serious overthinker. And the problem is, depending on your line of work, overthinking is rewarded in a professional setting. Maybe you're writing complex lines of code, so you need to double, triple, quadruple check. You need to be overthinking, because if you make the wrong move or get something wrong, then it could damage your reputation. You could lose money, right? But in the dating game, it's not a thinking man's game. Building a magnetic aura around women, it's not what you add, it's what you remove. Yeah, it's the whole, I love this analogy. It's like, mate, the people who watch my content religiously, they're gonna get sick to fucking death of this analogy. You know about a guy called Michelangelo? Yeah, well, let me tell you a story about Mr. Mikey. When Michelangelo was asked how he sculpted the statue of David, he said, fuck knows. No idea, mate. AI. No, I'm messing. When Michelangelo was asked how he sculpted the statue of David, he responded with, I just removed everything that wasn't David. I think that's the game. I think, building a magnetic aura, a rock star dating life, being able to experience success in advance, I think it's about shutting off our thinking brain. And I've found the best way for analytical, logical guys to start to remove the bullshit and the programming, the sedation and the compliance is just taking a shitload of action over a few days, right? This is like a tried and tested solution. But I think the reason why most coaching experiences in this space fail is because the in-person coaching is the experience, right? So usually we'll call them coaches, to put it generously, what other operators do in this space is, yeah, you'll probably do some weekend boot camp. It's usually group coaching, so you'll fly out, you'll get hyped, you'll take action, maybe you even get a result or two. But then what happens is you fly home, you get plugged back into the same environment, the same habits, the same people, and after a week you realize nothing has actually changed. And it's because short-term excitement does not override long-term identity. So what we do with our guys is we make everybody aware that in-person coaching, that's just the start, okay? You've done your in-person coaching, you've done over 100 call approaches, everything's been captured on camera, you've been given feedback by Daniel, feedback from me, feedback from the rest of the guys in the entourage. Now, the deep identity level work begins. So you get plugged into the entourage, surrounded by every guy who's already walked the same path, and you're held accountable over a sustained period, typically for at least 12 months, okay? It's a 12-month commitment, because I understand you're not going to become a black belt in jiu-jitsu if you did a weekend course, right? It takes decades to master. And I see call approach as the jiu-jitsu of social mastery. It's not to say it's going to take you 10 years to find your wife. But the guys who do the best with daytime cold approach are the ones who treat it like a social sport, yeah? Guys who see it not just as a way to get higher quality women, but as an ongoing pursuit towards excellence and mastery and personal renaissance. So I think that if you can learn to play long-term games with long-term people, you will win the dating game. Because I think a lot of people these days, they're looking for the next quick hack, the magic bullet, the one thing. Oh, what's the one thing? Like, what's the cheat code that's going to change everything for me? There is no cheat code, dude. It's fucking hard, right? Give yourself at least a year. Stay single for the first year of learning daytime cold approach. I make it aware, like everybody aware, there's no guarantees with any of this, right? You need to want it, because you'll get out of this process what you're prepared to put into it. I think a lot of guys think all they need to do is show up and it's like push button, get results. No, we install everything, the coaching, the systems, the community, the accountability, But at the end of the day, a personal trainer can't lift the weight for you. You know, you need to want it. You need to want to get your ass into the gym. You need to enjoy it. I think you need to be slightly masochistic as well to want to continue this pursuit of excellence and mastery. So I think that's important. I can't remember what the original thread was there, but yeah, if you're someone at the moment and you hesitate a lot around women, you overthink every move, you see lots of opportunities day by day, but the excuses roll in, like, oh, she looks busy, I'll wait for a better time, oh, I'm not in the right headspace now, I think she might be a man, oh, I'll get the next one. Then what that does, the longer you do it, is it slowly chips away at your confidence. And it's not just your dating life that gets fucked over, it's the way you perceive yourself. I don't care what anybody says. If you don't currently have a reliable, predictable way of bringing wife-worthy women into your life, I'll put it more bluntly. If you're not currently getting laid with women who you find really fucking attractive, that affects how you show up in the rest of your life. If you're seeing women, maybe you're in some weird fucked up situationship right now with a woman that you don't really want her, you just want someone. It's become this avoidance mechanism. Oh, I'm in this situationship right now. I can't call approach because that would be cheating. It's like, motherfucker, grow some balls, end that relationship, get your ass out there. That's what I did 5 years ago, right? I was in a long-term relationship. I'd never broken up with a girl in my entire life. And then one day, I saw a video on YouTube of a guy cold approaching women in Barcelona. And I saw that as the YouTube algorithm. I saw that as God acting in disguise. This video had been delivered to my feed. I wasn't even searching pickup related content. It just got presented to me. I watched it and I went for a walk down the Calls in Leeds, which is by the water. And I'll never forget this. I remember it just like so viscerally. This was genuinely the moment that changed my life forever. I don't know what it was, but I walked along the Calls, I walked along the water, and I said to myself, do I see myself being in this relationship for the rest of my life? It just came out of nowhere. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was just like some like divine intervention, like this divine download. And I don't even like because it's like I was in this scarcity mindset. You know, I was never thinking this way. And I just remember having this like crystal clear clarity in the moment where I responded to myself honestly. I was like, no, I don't see myself being in this relationship for the rest of my life. So I went back home immediately. It was so uncharacteristic. Like, I'd never done anything like this in my life. I was just an absolute fucking wet wipe back then. I was an emotional tampon. And I sat my girlfriend down and I was like, listen, I don't see this relationship going anywhere further. I feel as though I'd be lying to you and lying to myself if we continued this. So, like, this is it, essentially. I can't remember my exact wording, but I was uncharacteristically composed. And if I hadn't have made that decision, if I'd have just stayed marinating in the comfort quicksand of complacency, like so many guys do, right? So many guys, their loyalty is based around scarcity, yeah? Because that was me for years, dude. I was just this scarce, insecure, I'm still insecure. I was just this very troubled and broken individual, right? I desperately wanted to be wanted. I always found it very difficult to accept that a woman would find me attractive, especially back then when I looked like absolute horseshit. I've always struggled with the ability to fully accept myself, yeah? But I think a big reason for that was, I think a big reason why I lacked confidence in myself back then was because I hadn't really proved anything to myself. You know, I heard somebody say it once, I think it was in the red pill space, which was, you're not low confident, you're just low value. I think that's what it was. Like, yeah, I'd been a magician for a decade, but I'd also been a loser most of my life. Like, I was cleaning lemur shit off toilets. I worked in a zoo. I worked at a caravan park. I worked in Iceland, not the country, the supermarket. I know, it was fucking come down for me as well, helping people find the turkey dinosaurs in aisle 6. And yeah, I was a Christmas temp in Iceland. If you're from the UK, you'll know Iceland. It was a fucking awful job. We actually used to, these like old women used to come in, they were like, oh, can I have a home delivery? And because it was an absolute nightmare. You had to pack the stuff, take it up to the freezer. Oh, it was a fucking nightmare. Yeah, sometimes, yeah, it doesn't matter. But what was the thread? Yeah, if you're one of these people right now, you know if you're bullshitting yourself, right? I think you feel that pull. Do you know what I mean? Like deep down, you probably know you're capable of lots more than you're currently proving to yourself right now. The women you're banging, money you're making, lifestyle you're living, it's all a reflection of who you perceive yourself to be. Yeah, the person that I was 5 years ago, low life loser, porn addict, I was a direct consequence of the perception I had of myself. Because in life, we don't get what we deserve, we get what we think we deserve. So I really do think something like daytime cold approach, it is not just a way to live a rockstar dating life. It's the most aggressive form of self-development. I think if you do want to develop a magnetic aura around women, this fearless social god mode, which you can just activate at the drop of a hat, you need to get yourself out there. You need to do at least 100 approaches. Don't take a year to do it. Do it in a week. Do it in 3 days. Do it with us if you resonate with me. But don't take a long time to do those first 100. Because once you start to find your flow, you're having conversations which are converting into dates, you start going the whole way with women you once would have considered out of your league. It almost starts to become your new normal. Like the first time you deadlift 200 kg, maybe you'd historically only been able to deadlift 180 kg. The first time you lift 200 kg, that becomes your new normal. That becomes a new standard. And then 4, 8, 12 weeks, you just integrate that new normal into your lifestyle. So it's not new normal anymore. It's just normal. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, do lots and lots and lots of approaches, condense the time period. And if you are in one of these weird fucked up situationships and you're convincing yourself that, oh, it's cheating if I approach, it's like, come on, bro, grow a set of fucking balls, man up, get rid of her. You're not doing her any favors either. You're basically just living a lie. And get yourself out there into the field because you know you're capable of more, but words are cheap, right? Evidence has got the loudest voice. The next thing to have a magnetic aura around women. By the way, if you're enjoying the stream, drop it a like. It's the only way for you to communicate with me. So drop the live stream a like if you are enjoying it. The other thing that I wanted to touch on was training some form of martial arts. So I've been training Muay Thai now for a year on and off. I train it religiously when I'm in Bangkok. When I go back to Europe, I'm not that consistent with it. I just don't seek out Muay Thai gyms in Europe. I much prefer training in Thailand, so I just do weight training and hill sprints when I go back to Europe. But I found that doing cold approach with martial arts, it makes me feel like 100 feet tall. I remember a long, long time ago, one of my very first clients was, he trained jiu-jitsu, and he said that cold approach, if you do cold approach along with martial arts, you will just develop this magnetic aura. Because I think that, this is just me talking from my experiences, but I remember before I did my first Muay Thai session in Bangkok, I was absolutely shitting myself. Like so much anxiety, so many self-limiting thoughts, just like when you're first doing your first daytime cold approach, right? But in order to become great at anything, you have to risk not being able to do it. So I remember getting to the Muay Thai gym, I was shit scared, but I remember this was last year, so I actually made a live stream on that day to provide accountability to myself. So I was like, made the live stream, like, right, I'm gonna go to the martial arts gym, I'm gonna go to the Muay Thai gym, absolutely shit scared. But I think there was something about putting myself in that animalistic atmosphere and just continuing to go. Right, I think that was the main thing for me, which was for the first couple months, I was absolutely dog shit. I remember one of my coaches said to me, I was about 8 or 9 weeks in, he was like, Christian, you started out as a beginner, you're still a beginner. But I like that. I respond well to this way of coaching where it's no bullshit, there's banter, but it's like it's coming from a place of love, do you know what I mean? So I respond well to unfavorable feedback, even though it triggers me in the moment. But usually the reason we get triggered is because there's some truth to it, right? All great jokes contain an element of truth. That's why they're funny. So I think just making the decision that no matter what, I would just continue to go to the Muay Thai gym. I would continue to stay disciplined. Every time I leave the Muay Thai gym, I feel like I've got this action taker aura. Do you know what I mean? Like 90 minutes of brutal session, like a 90-minute brutal session. And I think if you're anything like me, you know, I wake up in the mornings and oftentimes I'm not really feeling myself. You know, our brains are depleted of oxygen. We've been comatose for the past 9 hours. I don't hop out of bed being Mr. fucking social. The way you start isn't the way you finish though. So I find that doing some form of martial arts early on in the morning, that helps to elevate me into a high frequency state. And in that state, I feel as though I've already done 100 approaches. Like, cold approach feels piss easy. And this is not to say, if you want to become great at cold approach, train martial arts. No, if you want to become great at cold approach, do 100 approaches in 3 fucking days. But like, once you've got proficient at cold approach, what you'll find is it's more of a game of it's internal state which equals external reality, right? The girl does feel what you feel. The girl is very much your mirror. So imagine walking over to a girl and you've just wanked yourself off into a sock 15 minutes ago. You're dressed like shit. You've not taken a shower. You stink, and inside you absolutely hate yourself. Well, she's going to feel all of that negative energy. Yeah, but imagine you walk up to a girl, you've just trained martial arts, you've had a cold shower, you've listened to some of my live streams, you're feeling on top of the fucking world, right? It's not even about technique anymore. There is no conversation gambit. It's just you are presenting the man who you are, yeah? Because, like I was saying earlier, it's the removal. It's removing everything that isn't you. That's what true confidence is, right? Confidence isn't something you build. It's something you uncover. I find for myself, building a magnetic aura has just come from doing things that scare me, doing things that push my limits, whether it's my physical limits, my emotional limits. So training martial arts, lifting heavy shit, doing cold approaches, solo traveling to new places. I think that the more you can make a habit out of dive bombing into discomfort, the more faith you develop in yourself. This is what confidence is. It's confidence, which means with faith, yeah? And I think, one of my favorite quotes is, throw me in hell, I'll find a way to enjoy it. I think if you're putting yourself out there, you're doing cold approaches, you're training martial arts, maybe you're building a business, maybe you're making content, maybe you're just putting yourself out there. Do you know what I mean? That's what, for me, develops this magnetic aura, because it's like stacking wins, isn't it? The more you win, the more you want to win. And it's a compounding interest of what you're doing. So yeah, I would say train some form of martial arts. It's been a thing which it massively shifted the way that I perceive myself. And it's like the perceived effort for me. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's not a case of I go to the martial arts gym because I want to fucking spark people out. It's the perceived effort. It's getting to the end of the day feeling exhausted with accomplishment, knowing that I gave everything, right? Knowing that I trained, knowing that I did my live streams, knowing that I did my cold approaches, knowing that I've been the best that I can be, or as I like to say, the most fuckable version of me. And I do think confidence, a lot of times, it is this internal pursuit. It's setting intentions and proving to ourselves, like keeping our word to ourselves, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, I find training martial arts, it allowed me to develop this magnetic aura where it kind of just like washes away all the bullshit. After a 90-minute intense session, I'm not overthinking, I'm not in my head anymore, I just feel cleansed. It's like this cathartic experience. And something I call these Renaissance days. I think if you want to feel like an absolute god, like if you want to just hit godly frequency where you just feel like king of the fucking world, what I would say is stack as many of these activities in the same day. So for example, if you have a freezing cold shower, then you go to a martial art session, then you do 10 cold approaches. And let's say during the cold approach session, you record a video of yourself in public to invite the social spotlight onto you. I don't think people realize what an impact this can have, not just on their relationships, but their overall mental health. And I think a lot of guys today, they're not average because they're lazy. They're just average because they're scared of getting it wrong, right? The school system probably taught you, if you got a question wrong, you were stupid. But this is why creating something like a personal Renaissance document, it's so crucial. So a personal Renaissance document is where you write about yourself in the third person as though it's already happened. So rather than me saying, I want to be confident, right? That's an affirmation. This is not affirmation, this is identity selection. So rather than saying, I want to be confident, I would refer to myself in the third person as though somebody else is saying it, because if you refer to yourself like somebody else is saying it, in my experience, it allows the statement to carry greater emotional weight. So I would say something like, Christian is the most fuckable man on the planet. Christian can approach any woman, anywhere, anytime. For Christian, approaching beautiful women is as easy as taking a piss. But you say it as though somebody else is saying it. And you say it with emotion as well, because what this does is it allows you to get a clear idea of who you want to be, right? I understand if you're skeptical about this type of thing, like, oh, it's like fucking law of attraction, whatever. It's not the law of attraction, it's the law of action. Think about it. You wouldn't get on an aeroplane not knowing where you were going, right? Because the destination determines the direction. It's the same for your identity as well. Once you've got a clear idea of the man that you want to be, then you just make your actions align with your ambitions. This is the first phase of my 3 phases that I take clients through. So it's revelation, liberation, and then integration. So phase 1 is revelation. It's who do you want to be and what's stopping you from being that person now. Liberation is, we're not just going to talk about it, 100 approaches in 3 days, everything gets captured on camera, action becomes your default operating system, and then integration is integrating the new identity into your life so it becomes your default. And the way we do that is by connecting you with the entourage, so weekly group coaching calls, in-person meetups, direct access to me, access into our private WhatsApp accountability chat. So it's like having 30 wingmen in your pocket 24/7. We've got guys in 5 different continents. If you want to work with me, by the way, there's a link below this video. I think I put a link there. It might be to my free course. No, I think it is to work with me, yeah. I've got a video on my landing page, which explains the process more in depth. But yeah, if you are curious about working with me, maybe about working with me in the new year, then yeah, there's a link below this video if you are interested. If not, just watch the content. I've got over 900 videos on this channel, so yeah, just consume as much of that as possible and then go out into the field and do something with it. But yeah, this revelation phase, like creating a personal renaissance document, I know it works because this is what I did 5 years ago. You know, when I was an absolute mess, I didn't have anything to believe in apart from the man that I wanted to be. Because people tell you to believe in yourself, but I'm like, motherfucker, if I believe in myself, this current chode that I currently am, nothing will get done. So it's not about doing your best, it's about doing what is necessary. So who do you want to be? And then you become what you pretend to be. It's not fake it till you make it, it's believe it so you can become it. Yeah, having delusional optimism, not in who you are, but in the man that you're becoming, right? So you pretend like you already are that person. This is how the revelation phase works. What else? How to have a magnetic aura. I've got more things here. Should we talk about them? Yeah, why not? One other thing that I wanted to touch on briefly was being a man in motion is sexy. All right. So I think that if women are your entire reason for being, then what will happen is you'll start to attach excess importance to how the feminine receives you. Now, this is okay for a time being. So I would say the first 90 days of you getting immersed in cold approach, women are going to be your focus, right? If you've been on a dry spell, if you've historically settled for good enough rather than going after what you actually wanted, and for you, cold approach is a way of meeting women, living a rockstar dating life, then it's a case of, for the first 90 days, you are going to be obsessed, right? You're going to be obsessed with cold approach, with women. You're probably going to be watching a lot of theory on YouTube. And I'd say fucking good luck to you, dude. Do you know what I mean? I think we all start off with cold approach as broken specimens. And I think when you are first starting cold approach, you do want validation. You do want approval, not just for your identity, but you almost want permission and approval for the skill of cold approach. Like, you want to know approaching women is okay for you to do. So a lot of these hyper-masculine commentators online will say things like, oh, you know, don't pedestalize women, you know, don't go out there for approval, all this nonsense, when realistically, you can't fucking help it at the start. Yeah, it's okay if you're going out there because you want approval, you want women to like you. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with that. I think it's healthy. I think that most men today are frustrated because they currently lack love and validation and approval from the feminine. If you're anything like me, I didn't get validated by women for most of my adult life. I was a fucking ugly duckling. I was always last to get picked on the sports teams. I used to walk around the playground on my own in primary school because I didn't have any friends and even the teachers didn't want to talk to me. So I usually just hid in the toilets until playtime was over. So, you know, I started off as pretty socially shit. And I had to learn all of this stuff brick by brick. But when it comes to women, when it comes to when you're first learning cold approach, it's okay at the start if women are your motivating force, if they are your North Star. But once you've proved to yourself that you can have conversations that convert into dates, once you've got a lot of stuff out your system, then really it's not about the women as much anymore. You almost shift from being hyper-focused on the women to cold approach more becomes about this internal pursuit towards mastery and excellence. And the beautiful women are simply a beautiful byproduct of a beautiful life. So I think a big reason why cold approach fails for lots of guys is because they don't have anything else going on in their lives. This is like old school pickup in 2008, which is like, yeah, learn these lines, learn these routines, you can be this low value moron, but you can fucking shag Miss Universe. And it's like, no, dude, it doesn't work like that anymore, right? I don't even think it worked like that back then, to be fair. But it's about, for me, having something which supersedes women. So almost like, I don't like to use that word, it's kind of become cringy now, like, oh, focus on your purpose, bro. But yeah, I think purpose is more important than punani. Do you know what I mean? Because there's a really good passage in The Way of the Superior Man, which is like, your woman doesn't want to be number one. Yeah, it's like the man that you are, the mission that you're on, the being a man in motion, like having shit to do, that is sexy. You know what I mean? Like that, in my opinion, because I think there's a big difference between getting a woman and keeping a woman. And I really think this whole thing that we call like, oh, game, I think most people, they are short-sighted in their intentions. And what I mean by that is most of their dating strategy is based around getting women rather than keeping women. So it's an acquisition rather than retention strategy. But I really believe the game is played once you're in a relationship with the feminine, because you have to continue being the version of yourself that she fell for in the first place. A lot of guys just get very good at the 10-minute sales pitch. They get very good at wearing a mask and presenting themselves in a way that they think she wants them to be. But I've learned this the hard way. At some point, the mask slips. And this is why what I teach, anti-game artistry, it's not about pretense. It's not about putting on a facade. It's not about masquerading as something that you're not. It's showing up with lethal, radical, unapologetic authenticity that the message you're conveying is, this is me, take it or leave it. Yeah, so my dating philosophy is based around repulsion. Repulsion is magnetic because when you are undeniably yourself, you will get rejected by lots and lots and lots of women. But rejection does not mean failure. It's the filter that's doing its job, right? Not every woman is going to want to fuck you. And that should be such a strong realization that even your best just won't be enough for the majority of women, but you're not focused on the no girls. You're not even focused on the maybe girls. You're focused on the fuck yeses, the girls who just like you, yeah? That's what you're going out there for, and you only need one, right? For anything like the guys that I work with, you probably just want to have a best friend who you can have sex with. You know, a girl that you can show off to your friends and be like, yeah, this is my girl. And they're like, oh, bro, how did you get her? And it's like, I fucking work with Christian Casanova, mate. Who's Christian Casanova? Does he play for Fulham? Banter. So really the game is played in the relationship, you know, because you have to continue, not even just being the version of yourself that she fell for. I think being in a relationship gives you more accountability, you know? It gives you financial accountability if you want to take care of your woman. It gives you emotional accountability because it's not just about you anymore. You've actually got somebody else to take care of. You learn more about the language of the feminine. You'll get tested a lot in relationship, which is not a bad thing. Your woman's job is to test you. She needs to make sure that you are the guy that you say you are. So this is why retention is the name of the game. Yeah, it's not about getting women, it's about keeping women and creating these cosmic connections with wife-worthy women. You know, I'm not one of these guys online who's like, oh, you know, fucking chase women until you're 60 years old. You know, go and just get your notch count up, bro. I'm like, nah, that gets old so fast, dude. You know, I think when guys are actually honest with themselves, The shallow, empty shags, they get old so fast. And after a while, it's like, yeah, it'd be nice if we actually had something more than one night. You know, it would be nice if I actually developed deeper, meaningful connections with a woman that I could build a future with. It'd be nice if we could actually start a family and create a legacy. You know, I think the guys who I work with especially, they're focused more on longevity, legacy building, finding a woman who complements their already abundant lifestyle, because she doesn't want to be number one. But when I say to guys, learn day game, don't become a day gamer, I think that encapsulates it perfectly. Yeah, you almost like, you want to learn the skill and then forget the skill. It's like you want to learn the skill of daytime cold approach, but not operate like a guy who learnt it. It's like you've just got it integrated there. It feels as natural as brushing your teeth. You can just switch it on. You can approach any woman, anywhere, anytime. But that doesn't happen overnight. Like I say, 100 daytime approaches, we can get those done for you in 3 days. Everything can get captured on camera. I can send Daniel to your home city, so there's really no fucking excuse anymore, dude. You can have the entire immersion filmed and recorded. The footage doesn't go on YouTube, it's for private training purposes only, but the footage is yours to keep forever as well. That's the thing that made the biggest progress for me when I first started, was watching myself back on camera. I remember when I posted my first infields from London, you know, the feedback that I got from guys like, oh, you're shit, your conversations are terrible, you're ugly, you're a 4 out of 10 at best, why are you wasting these women's time? Like, yeah, at the time, dude, that did trigger me. But I think that making content and doing cold approach simultaneously, that helped me develop this magnetic aura as well, because you do get to a point where you just don't care. Well, it's not even like you stop caring, you just stop obsessing. Do you know what I mean? Like, no matter who you are, you're always going to attract haters. And if people don't hate you, you're doing something wrong. Even fucking Mother Teresa has got haters. Do you know what I'm saying? So no matter what you do, you're always going to be misunderstood. There's always going to be some guy who sees you and he just doesn't like you for whatever reason. You know, maybe you trigger something in him. You know, maybe you hold a mirror up to what he could have been. Yeah, it triggers status anxiety. But you need to be hated. You need to get feedback. It's just the way the fucking world is, dude. It's like being a boxer and complaining about getting hit, or going to a swimming gala and complaining about getting wet. It's like, if you're doing cold approach, you're gonna get rejected. If you're doing content, you're gonna get hate. If you're fucking doing boxing, you're gonna get punched. It's like, suck it up, it's what you signed up for. So yeah, if you are interested in working with me, then I would suggest click the first link below this video. There's another video on that page. It's about 28 minutes long, and it walks you through my entire anti-game artistry system, who it's for, who it's not for. So if you've got an evening to yourself and you want some Christian Casanova, you can listen to it on double speed as well if you want to. But yeah, first link below this video if you're interested in having me and my coaching team install the exact same system that's already worked for over 200 guys. If you're looking to get around higher level dudes who are becoming elite at daytime cold approach, you want to be surrounded by accountability and support from guys who get it, and guys who've all gone through the same process as well. So it's not just me, it's not just Daniel, but you're really getting 30 plus coaching experiences in the entourage. You can go over to Christian Casanova testimonials on YouTube as well. Evidence has got the loudest voice, I get the best client results in the industry, and I'm unapologetic in showcasing my testimonials. So yeah, if you go into Christian Casanova testimonials on YouTube, you'll be able to listen to guys' experience of working with me so far. And if you feel as though you are the type of guy that we're looking for, an ambitious, driven renegade who wants to become elite at daytime cold approach, become the most fuckable version of yourself and live a life beyond the beige, then the entourage might be the perfect environment for you. But yeah, if you've enjoyed this live stream, drop it a like. This has been how to have a magnetic aura around women. I hope it's been useful. If it has been useful, drop it a like. And if you want to work with me, all the information, first link below this video. Ta-da!